Hello, this is Mario.
And this is Jess. Welcome to Beyond Evolution, navigating AI's impact on humanity. I'll let Mario start off with introducing himself, and we'll give you guys a little bit of a background on who we are.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and excited to start this journey with you, which I think will be helpful for us and so many other people. My background is rooted in kind of the corporate business realm, undergrad in corporate finance, MBA. I spent a few years in the corporate world and kind of have done some personal real estate, equity, and crypto investing. In the past few years, I've shifted away from corporate and more towards kind of the entrepreneurial realm. I've been working on a nonprofit organization called Speak Your Mind, which is a mental health nonprofit. And our goal, obviously, is to help people with their mental health in various ways. But one of the core beliefs or core principles at Speak Your Mind is that we lean on the power of technology, especially AI, because it's so powerful, while keeping the human heart central to everything we do. So I'm very passionate about applying it there. I'm also working on an AI consulting business with a couple friends, and finishing up my first book, a memoir about masculine trauma, healing, and realignment. And I'm using AI in all of those projects. And I'm also just generally interested in human psychology, sociology, how humans work, what makes us happy, what leads to personal struggle. I've had plenty of experience with both. So, yeah, it's a little bit about me. I'm really excited to dive in and share what I'm learning to help the listeners, and also to continue this journey for myself.
Awesome. Well, so great to meet you, Mario. Just kidding. So I'll go into a little bit of background about myself. So I did have an education in business, mostly in operations and supply chain. So I worked in some operational manufacturing settings and did some process improvement with manufacturing processes. Throughout my life, I would say I held a bunch of leadership roles, and leadership has been like a main theme of just who I wanted to be and who I wanted to become. So throughout college, I taught Zumba and I was in different types of like leadership roles within my organizations, and then in a leadership development program after graduating college. And so that's a value of mine. And going into some more values, I would say one of my core values is personal growth. So whether that be physically, professionally, and emotionally. As well as just spending quality time with my friends and family. And then lastly, I also value adventure and just living life to the fullest. Kind of in relation to Mario, I would say I also have a deep interest in psychology, sociology, and why we do the things that we do and why humans are the way that they are. I did start a coaching business called KZN Coaching, and KZN stands for Kaizen, meaning continuous improvement. And so I wanted this to be like a main theme of my business, just constantly improving one step at a time. So the main theme is to help people really step into their confidence, to build their self-worth, and to create stronger connections with themselves as well as create stronger connections with everyone else. And then going more into AI. So AI has been just a very interesting opportunity. And so over the past couple months, I've been learning a whole lot, and I really want to share with the world how it's impacting our everyday lives. And so, yeah, that's where we are with this podcast here. So, yeah, I'll go into what Beyond Evolution is and our mission. This podcast goes beyond tech jargon to explore AI's real impact on human lives. We will dive into honest and meaningful conversations with creatives, thought leaders, and real people just like us to explore how AI is influencing the way we think, feel, connect, and work. From mental health to leadership to the creative world, we are exploring how AI is weaving into parts of life that you might not expect. This podcast isn't just about learning what AI is, it's about seeing it in action, asking better questions, and staying connected to the future we're all helping to create. The goal is to make AI feel human, accessible, and relevant, so more of us feel informed, empowered, and part of the conversation.
Well said.
Thank you.
Okay. So just a little bit of a teaser about today's episode. First of all, we'll take a mindful moment, which will help us ground, relax, and expand our consciousness to new ideas. Then we'll talk about Jess and I's experiences with AI, some tools we're using, some projects we're using it on. Hint, pretty much everything. AI market news and trends like economic impact, growth, and Jess will cover a little bit about ethics, kind of an intro. We'll definitely have some later episodes in the season about ethics that will dive in more. And then we'll end with some questions for you, our listener, to hear what you think about AI, its impact, both positive and negative, and see how we can help you with this podcast.
Let's do it.
Okay, the first segment of our podcast we're very excited about is the mindful moment. This is where we help ground us in our humanity before we explore this insanely fast-changing landscape with AI. Meditation has been proven and widely used to reduce stress, enhance creativity, and boost productivity. So during the next 3 minutes, we want to invite you to clear your mind, release any tension from the past, and become fully present with us here. Of course, if you're driving or multitasking, feel free to skip a few minutes ahead if needed. So we will start by finding a comfortable seat and closing our eyes. We'll take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly release through your mouth. Let's take 2 more deep breaths, feeling more stress leave your body with each out breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Last one we'll hold at the top here. So in, hold, out. Let it all go. Now with your eyes still closed, let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Feel the air gently entering and exiting your nose. As you continue to breathe, imagine a soft, calming light surrounding you, bringing peace and clarity. Allow yourself to feel grounded, open, curious, and receptive to new ideas. With each breath, feel your body relaxing further. If any thoughts come up during this process, just simply acknowledge them and let them pass like clouds in the sky, returning your gentle attention back to your breath, back to the here and now. So we'll sit in this space for another 30 seconds or so before I bring you back. Okay, as you gently bring your attention back to your body, take a final deep breath in and out. At your own pace, open your eyes and arrive back here with us. Carry this feeling of presence and openness with you as we explore today's topic of how AI impacts our lives, our future, and the world around us.
Thanks so much, Mario, for going through that. I really think it's important to ground yourself in this moment so we can explore the world of AI in an aware and a calming state. In this section, we will share our personal journeys with AI, some tools we have used, and how we're using it in our day-to-day lives. So for me, I found AI when I was scrolling on TikTok, as we all do, and I found some really great creators who were very knowledgeable in this AI field and are able to just describe what AI is in common sense terms, in terms that I am able to understand. So that really piqued my interest in AI and this opportunity. From there, I then discovered a course on maven.com called How to Build a Career in AI as a Non-Coder. And this was really interesting. It was a 3-week long course, and I really got to understand how AI was being implemented across different fields, whether that be in manufacturing or marketing or in healthcare. So it was just a very eye opening experience to go through that. And through there, I learned about Women Defining AI. And so this is an organization where they aim to make AI approachable and accessible for a broader group of women and non binary individuals in our networks and communities. So that's where I'm at today in my journey and how I got to really learn and be excited about this new world of technology. How about you, Mario?
My first encounter with AI, as I'm sure is many other people's encounter, was with ChatGPT, and of course I used it like Google at first. And I actually met a friend. He's a software engineer by trade, and he's very advanced. He introduced me to just different features with ChatGPT and different things you could do. We were just hanging out. He was in a men's group that I host here in Flagstaff, and yeah, I quickly realized after starting to research just how powerful it is. And I think my eye-opening moment was when I created a Facebook page. I created all of the core values, the intro post. I created the picture for the background, and everything that I needed for this Facebook page in order to promote my first book, my memoir. I did this in 30 minutes while I was working out. Like, I created everything that I needed for this. And that was my moment of just like, holy shit, like this is incredible. I mean, I've only dreamt of times where you could just hands free, schedule and manage your life with very high efficiency, and we're very close, like with Amazon Alexa coming out. And yeah, so I've just kind of been like wide-eyed from the beginning, and I've noticed certain trends in my life, like when everyone started having iPod ear headphones on campus, and I didn't buy Apple stock, and I should have. And this, I think, is one of those things. And I not only do I think it's a trend, I think it's the biggest trend of our lives. And it's very much a train that I want to be on. It's like the invention of the railroad, the invention of the internet. And so I think if it's something you don't get on, or at least for me, I think if it's something, if I don't get on, then I'm going to be way off. And as an investor, you know, entrepreneur, starting businesses, like it's a lot of work, and I use it in almost everything I do. So I'm psyched. I love it.
Yeah.
It's also terrifying, but it's incredible at the same time. We'll get more into that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think it's like a huge invention of this generation, and it's going to change the world as we know it today. So, you either hop on it or you get left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Big time.
yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about a recent AI tool or project we've explored. So for me, I joined Women Defining AI. And so they have this 5-week long module course where each different day you learn just a little tiny lesson. And so, what I've learned so far are the foundations of prompt engineering. So, basically, how you structure the words and the text on what you ask a chatbot. We explored multimodal models, meaning different types of inputs to outputs, not just text to text. It could be you input a text and you output a picture, or you input a picture and the bot outputs a text. So, very interesting stuff. And then now I'm building my own GPT, which is for specific tasks. So, for example, resume building or career coaching. You can build a specific GPT on these chatbot sites, so OpenAI or Anthropic's Claude, that are specific to the task that you need it to help with. I'm also exploring some workflow automation tools like Gumloop and Zapier. So, if you think about an Excel spreadsheet or an Excel formula, and instead of the formula connecting data from the different sheets to create an output, you're basically connecting different applications and getting an output in a different type of application. So you can connect, for example, in a Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet to your email and draft up an email. So very interesting stuff that it can do. And having a process improvement and efficiency background, I'm very excited to like streamline business processes. How about you?
Same. I think anywhere we can automate, and save time, like that's right now, that's the biggest benefit of AI. Is Gumloop the same thing as Zapier?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. I tried Zapier. I have actually, this is my first time hearing about Gumloop.
Okay.
Make is another one. I've tried Zapier. It was a nightmare for me. I tried like 4 or 5 different zaps and
Mm-hmm.
just like, I think it's a little bit more advanced. So, yeah, Zapier is something I've tried because, at the nonprofit, it's like any business that you build, your email list is incredibly valuable. So you want to retain emails as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And with the nonprofit, I have emails coming my way from several different sources. So I really want to automate that. And I tried with Zapier and I failed. But because I think it's a little bit more advanced, I think my buddy who's like a coder could do it
Mm-hmm.
more easily. But I think I'm a really good example of like, I'm not exactly a tech guy, so sharing that feedback probably resonates with the common person.
For sure.
And Make is on my list because Make is more like drag and drop apparently. I haven't gotten on there yet, but I'm excited to try that out. And you'll have to let me know how Gumloop works. But some other tools I've been using is I'm launching this corporate mental wellness program that you and I talked about a little bit. And my buddy is building this entire platform with AI, like our entire website essentially with lovable.dev. That's the app he's using, and took him like a few hours to build this website. And we'll talk more about like the impact and effects as an entrepreneur and just like in the modern world of business and what effects this has of like how easy it is. I saw a reel of a guy who like with no hands he made a website. He just had audio and he used something like lovable.dev, and it's amazing, but also like competition is already fierce in America at least, and it's only going to get worse. So it's like it's the best time to be an entrepreneur, but also like not easy because you can have someone just like copy you and launch something in a day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, ChatGPT and Grok, I use those a lot. I mean, talk about like starting a business development. GPT is a great companion for just saying, "Hey, I've been reading this book, E Myth or Good to Great," and like tell me the general high, general points of those books, and like help me apply that to building my business and building my people strategy and my system strategy, etc. So I use GPT and Grok a ton. GPT is much better with deep research, I've found. So if I'm researching like influencers to reach out to join us for this 5K, I got like a list of 30 to 50 with a lot of good information from GPT, but Grok only gave me like 8 or 10. So yeah, just kind of like a few tools I've been using and some comparisons between the two.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. Like on the point of coding, right? Like they talk about it nowadays called it's called vibe coding, which I think is it's a fun way to say it. But
Love it.
it's super cool to like be able to code with just the English language. You don't need to know C++ or Java, whatever anymore, as I'm not a tech person. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just awesome that you can do it with just being able to talk to it.
It's incredible. It opens up so much more to common people to be able to do more. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And that's awesome that like someone without like physically being able to do it built something. So very cool. So how do we lean on AI to enhance and elevate our personal missions in life? So for me, I've been utilizing AI as an advisor. So whether that's a business coach helping me start my own coaching business, and whether it's a career coach helping me find a new job or helping me cater a resume to a specific job posting, or as a life coach, just kind of talking to it and asking it advice and like a sounding board. So you can really utilize it in a way where it just helps you grow as a person. And that's how I've been using it. In the future, I do plan to use it as a process improvement tool. So streamlining business operation workflows to remove tedious work that people have to do and to automate that. To elevate our personal life, I would say I am relating it to my coaching business. And I'm very intrigued to see how AI is going to connect with humanity in harmony, but also disconnect humanity from each other. And we'll dive into this further into some future episodes and future things that we talk about today. But I think our experience with technology so far has been kind of both, right? It's been connecting us online and people from across the world, but it's also disconnecting each other from being right in front of each other, and that's leading to this loneliness epidemic that we're seeing. So I'm interested and excited to explore this realm and to see where, this new technology leads us. How about you?
Yeah, we'll get into our greatest fears and our greatest hopes for AI, but that's definitely one of mine. Is like, sure, it's amazing and it's helping us progress, and like, America especially is the land of opportunity. I think I'm a decent example of that. And like we just talked about, expanding people's ability to code, start businesses, and build things is incredible. However, it's already bad, like where we are with social media and its effects on our mental health. I mean, we're in the middle of a mental health epidemic. So, yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot we'll get into this season for sure. I lean on AI for everything, everything that I do, from like cooking. I'll tell it like, hey, I put olive oil, salt, pepper, mayo, and a little bit of lemon in this dressing. Is there anything else you think I could add to like spice it up? And so anything from like cooking to, honestly, anyone who knows me personally knows I'm a pretty deep person, and I've been pretty deep into inner work and healing, and Claude helps a lot with that. Claude is definitely the best therapist right now, I think, by far. So just trying to help me understand, like, hey, I'm feeling this. I'm kind of triggered by this thing that happened with my partner, or with my friend, or mom, or whatever. And I think it's tied to XYZ, but I don't know. And I'm trying to work through it. And it's like, oh yeah, it sounds like you're kind of on the right track. You're doing great. Here's some information about like how the subconscious tries to like help you feel safe, but it actually causes harm. And like, yeah, okay, I kind of get that. And it's incredible. So yeah, I use it as a helper in the kitchen, a helper with therapy. I use it to help me build businesses, to create content for Speak Your Mind, to, like I said, to automate with Make. That's next on my list. It's been described as like a really good extension of you, like whatever you're into and excited about, or whatever you want to work on. Or I think it's a really good creative thought partner as well. I mean, I've been in the gym or just like out for a walk, and I'm just chatting with it about like, what do you think about like this market, or like this trend with our society? And it helps me build the outline for this podcast. And it's just a really good assistant, and it's helped me meet a lot of people as well.
Yeah, I think you really can't go wrong with how you utilize AI right now. All right, so we'll hop into AI market news and trends. So, this is where we'll talk about market trends, new AI releases, new models, and how it relates to you, your work, and your human life.
Okay, so yeah, we'll kind of get into like a little bit more in depth, but also just looking at like the big picture of the global impact and growth rates of AI and its usage, and we'll talk about employment. That's a big topic and a big worry for a lot of people. So a lot of numbers coming at you, so get ready. Global impact. In 2024, the global AI market surpassed 184 billion, which is, of course, a significant increase from previous years. In 2025, it's expected to reach 280 billion. So we are cruising. It's growing incredibly quickly, even with like the adoption rate. A lot of people are still fearful of it. Um, a study according to McKinsey and Company on the global adoptions of AI, 71% of corporations reported regular use of generative AI in at least one business function. By 2030, it's anticipated to contribute an additional 15 trillion to the global economy, potentially boosting global GDP by up to 14%. If you think about, the history of our economy and investing in anything in America or in the world, I think this is probably a pretty decent time to do it. And, we've already had a decade and a half of a pretty incredible bull run in equities. It's a good time to get in. I think we're kind of cooling off a little bit now, a little bit recessionary, but for the long term, if you're 40 or under, you should probably invest some money long term. We're not investment advisors or anything, but as a general rule, save and invest a little bit at a time. And now is definitely a good time to do that based on these numbers. Most notable industries to be affected are manufacturing, healthcare, and transportation.
Yeah. So I wanted to comment on that. Some things I've been seeing in manufacturing are these new robots that are being developed by NVIDIA and a bunch of other robotics companies. They are making human like robots, which may seem pretty scary, but how I've heard of it and kind of thought about it is we created a human world, right? So if we want robots to help us out with that, they need to be able to navigate this human world that we created. So that could be coming for manufacturing, or that will be coming for manufacturing. Healthcare, I talked with my dad, and his pharmaceutical company is already investing a lot of money into research on new medicines that they can sell. So I think that's very interesting. And then transportation as well, like self-driving cars out there. There's already some out there, and it's just going to continue to develop. So those are some things that I've learned so far impacting different industries.
Yeah, robots are definitely here in
Mm-hmm.
manufacturing. And, Elon's prediction is like in 10 years, 50 to 90% of all cars will be self-driving. I think that's a bit aggressive. He's kind of like that. But,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely going in that direction.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, getting into employment. According to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025, AI and related technologies are projected to create around 170 million new jobs globally by 2030, while displacing about 92 million, resulting in a net gain of 80 million jobs. So this is where it's like, it's so unknown, right? Like, and different people are going to have different levels of worry. Like, my partner, for example, is a nurse, and it's like being a nurse is a really good thing because AI cannot replace your warm touch and your judgment of what these other humans need to stay alive in the moment or to take care of them. But like cashiers and jobs, all these others that are going to be replaced first, that's kind of where a lot of people are going to be concerned. Repetitive tasks, cashiers, administrative assistants, all are going to face higher risks of displacement, while jobs requiring creativity, problem solving, and human interaction, like software developers and healthcare professionals, are expected to grow. So, despite these shifts, long term job losses are predicted to be relatively modest as workers adapt through reskilling and upskilling. And I think, if you've learned anything about AI, you've heard these terms reskilling and upskilling. Reskilling is learning new skills for a new job or occupation. And upskilling is learning new skills to elevate output with AI. So there's basically the AI revolution is here. It's not coming. Like it is here in a massive way, and it's going to cause changes like we've never seen before. Of course, a lot of people are scared, and I think it's very normal to feel uncertain and scared. I think it all depends on how you view it and how you respond, as in every case in life, you know. Growth comes from expanding your comfort zone, from adapting and changing. So it's essential for us to keep learning and evolving, whether that's picking up new skills or honing what makes us human, like creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence, which are harder to replace by machines and will not, maybe someday they'll be replaced for sure, but not fully and not for a long time if they actually do. So yeah, this aligns well with all the people like me who have kind of jumped in headfirst to inner healing, working on expanding their level of awareness, processing difficult emotions, and growing personally, professionally, and spiritually. Like you're a life coach, right? I've done some life coaching, and I'm writing a book about masculine struggles. And my son is 5, and there's still a lot of toxic masculinity that is out there that tells little boys that it's weak to have emotions. And there's parents out there and people out there that don't teach kids, but especially young boys, how to manage emotions. This emotional intelligence realm is so important, especially for boys and men. And, men like me who were never taught. I was told to man up and don't be weak and don't be a girl. Like, I've had to learn a lot on my own. So all that to say is like that's kind of my big concern here, of like the way that our society is moving and why emotional intelligence is so important for all members of society, especially men.
Yeah. It's like, how do we as humans develop our own selves and develop the next generation of humans? And that's going to be so key to even how that human relates to technology, right? If you raise a child and they're given an iPad, right? They're not learning any emotional skills or ways to communicate with people. And so AI can be a huge issue within even just human interaction. So I think it's very important and pertinent that we learn these skills and teach these skills of how to communicate and enhance our humanness.
Yeah, get in touch with our emotions, with our intuition, and the deeper levels of what it means to be human.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's why we're here.
Lastly, on the topic of employment, the widespread adoption of AI definitely raises ethical questions and concerns about employment and job displacement, as we've kind of started to talk about already. Society will need to address these issues through policies that promote education, reskilling, and equitable access to AI benefits.
Okay, we'll dive further into privacy and ethics with AI. So, if you ever talked to a friend about a certain brand that you liked, or clothing that you wanted to buy, or a vacation that you wanted to go on, and then you got an ad for it, that's AI in action. And so, AI really thrives on data. So, from social media to shopping habits to even chatbots, they all thrive on the data that you're providing it. And so, in turn, we get convenience. And so that's really important, right? People want convenience. They don't want to have to go out to a store or do more work than they need to, especially in today's world that's super busy. But this is at the cost of our own privacy. So there's data that's being collected without consent, and that is a huge issue in the world of AI currently. Some more deeper topics into ethical issues, and we'll dive more into the further episodes into each one of these. But bias is a big one. So, the definition of bias is prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. So, for example, training on hiring data. So, a HR representative or recruiter can be working on an AI algorithm to hire in the best candidate. And so they'll utilize the past 10 years of data. And this was mostly a male dominated workforce. And so, that being said, the algorithm saw these resumes inclusive of the word women. And so they automatically downgraded those resumes because of the data that it was given. So AI can be biased unintentionally. It really can reinforce this systemic discrimination. And we'll go deeper into that in another episode. Another ethical issue is power. There's big tech companies out there nowadays, and there's a lot more popping up with this new AI boom. And so these tech companies are collecting our data the more that we're utilizing it, and they can use it to their advantage. So we just need to be aware of that. Another thing that is very intriguing to me is the question of, can AI become conscious? So, you're chatting with a chatbot, right? Chat GPT, Claude, Grok, and it's kind of human like, right? Like you're getting human like response. So, we'll explore if AI can really become conscious and what conscious really even means. Lastly, another ethical issue that's very pertinent is the laws around AI. So, AI is developing a lot faster than regulations and laws can be put in place. Just like social media, we don't fully understand how utilizing AI will affect humanity, whether that be economically or even psychologically. So, really, it's more important than ever for us to be informed and engaged in these conversations so we can advocate for responsible AI development, usage, and policies.
I just have so much to say in general. Like, there's so much here. The power aspect, it's like the rich get richer. Who do you think has the most access to this? The people, the millionaires and billionaires who own businesses, and they're having tens of dozens of people look into this and help them get even further ahead. And there's a study I heard actually yesterday. It was about some small town in East Africa where 2 weeks of interaction with AI was equivalent to one full year of education for these kids. And it's like, poor people don't have access to this, especially like that level of poverty. So power is a massive thing. I think just continuing the gap between the wealthy and the poor. Yeah, it's really risky and not good of like how fast we're going towards AI. Like Sam Altman is sprinting towards AGI and like helping robots potentially have consciousness, and like, then that can give way to so many other things. And it's like we still don't fully understand where we're going. We're sprinting in this direction. We don't know what is there. It's like the most basic investment advice is to never invest in something you don't understand, right? So it's like we're doing that on a global scale right now. Yeah, which I guess leads us into our next segment of the podcast today, the interactive segment. So in this section, we'll explore our greatest hopes and greatest fears of AI's impact on humanity and ask you to join us in the discussion. So first question for you, Jess, is what are your greatest fears and hopes for AI's effect on humanity?
Yeah, I think I touched on this a little bit before, but my biggest fear is that we're going to lose our humanity. I already see the effects of technology and social media on our humanness, right? Like we are connecting with each other online, which is great, but also we're not connecting with each other in the real world. And I think more communities are popping up nowadays that really value that inhuman aspect, but there's a lot of us that aren't taking advantage of those opportunities. And I think AI will even further drive that apart. You could use AI as whatever, right? So you can kind of talk to it like a best friend. And while that's awesome, it's also very scary if you don't have connection to real human beings, outside of your computer. So it can get rid of that loneliness, but also it can remove you from the real physical world. And yeah, talking more about AGI, another scary issue is like all these things can be weaponized, right? Like if AI is not trained in the safest ethical way, it can create destructive things. And that's really important to be aware of and on top of. So yeah, I would say those are some of my biggest fears. I'll let you go into your biggest fears first, and then we'll talk about hopes.
Sure. Yeah, my greatest fear with AI's development, especially the rate of development is what we were just talking about, which is the unknown. All of this is such a double-edged sword because yeah, it's like it can replace a lot of remedial tasks and free us up to just focus on what we enjoy. And like what an incredible utopia that would be. But also, like we are human beings and we don't evolve this quickly. We're already way behind how quickly we've evolved. You know, like I've said it for a long time. We have caveman brains in a modern society, and that is the source of all of our suffering. You know, we used to have to be outside more and hunt and gather and move and exercise and be with people. I can just sit in my house for weeks and be fine. I can order food to get delivered. Like, so it's amazing, but it's also, I'm kind of afraid that we will continue to experience a plummet in our mental health with the increased rate of advancement in this technology. Like, yeah, you know, I talk about like launching multiple businesses and working on a lot of projects and stuff. That's great. But I'm also like the most scattered I've ever been, you know, because I can just talk with this really intelligent thing at any time on my phone about starting a new business. And then I can start 10 of them until I'm miserable, you know? So my greatest fear is that we're sprinting towards the unknown. And if the best case happens, we will have complete freedom, which will lead to complete misery because we're human beings and we're meant to work. We're meant to be busy and have stuff to do because otherwise we lose our minds. We sit here and worry and ruminate and isolate. So that's my greatest fear. It's kind of a deep one, but
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I kind of look at it a little bit differently, right? Like I think we and this leads into my biggest hope. And I can see that AI can remove all the pain points of our lives, right? Like our tedious tasks that we have to do, our cooking that we might have to do that we don't want to do, aka me. And then like it would also be able to like help us out with work tasks, you know, that we don't necessarily need to spend time on, which would then lead us to more time for creativity and play. And I think those are key things into what makes us human. Right now, we don't have time to be creative because the world is so crazy all around us. And it's really hard to make time to play as well. And I think that's something that I'm excited for if we do end up automating all this stuff that we don't need to do. But I think what's really key and what's kind of the combination between mine and your perspective is purpose, right? Like purpose is going to be key to our humanness when AI is automated like this. We need to ensure like humans have a specific purpose and what exactly are we living for, you know? And that has been work, right, over the past couple centuries. But what will that turn into? So, yeah. How about you with your hope?
I think the greatest hope that has kept me going in life is opportunity. And I think that's the best thing about America. It's like it really is a land of opportunity. If you have some hustle and hard work, like you can change your life, you can change your family's life. And I've always kind of been a big picture thinker in that way, you know, of just like how can I create more opportunity for myself? And I feel like with the way that I'm learning how to develop in the entrepreneurial space of like building businesses and then connecting with people and then adding AI, that trifecta is like the sky is the limit. There's no limit here,
Mm-hmm.
on what we can do with a little bit of hustle and also like awareness of who you are and alignment to your purpose. And it's like everything we've talked about today is just showing how AI right now is just an extension of us. So like it allows us to go further and create more opportunity for ourselves. That's, I think, the greatest hope I have for us.
Awesome.
Okay, so we want to hear from you. What are your greatest fears and highest hopes for your life and for our humanity, for our society with the changes in AI that are here and the changes that will continue to come? And also, what topics do you want us to discuss on this podcast? Definitely let us know. Send us a DM at Beyond Evolution Podcast on Insta, Facebook, YouTube.
So, AI is here. It's personal, it's complex, it's confusing, and we're excited to explore it with you. In season 1, we plan to cover topics like AI in your job. How will you be impacted? AI tools that we can use to enhance our lives and careers, the ethics of AI and how we can manage that risk, AI's impact on our psychology, mental health, and well being, and many more.
Yes, can't wait to dive in. There's a lot of topics, there's a lot here, and there's a lot of unknowns for us to explore with each other, for ourselves, and for the listener as well. So, yeah, excited to get into episode 2. A little bit of a preview. We'll get into kind of more of a deep dive into AI and its impact on our jobs, our lives, and how we can not only cope, but how we can take advantage of the changes to come, kind of like going from the victim mindset to taking advantage and making the most out of all this, which is what you and I are doing today. So yeah, definitely subscribe, join us online, share your thoughts, reach out to us, connect with us. We very much want to connect with human beings on this topic, and let us know if you have anyone you want to see on the show. This is Mario Spano signing off. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm excited for what's to come.
And this is Jess Katz. We always like to end our podcast by reminding you that while this world of AI and what it means for humanity beyond evolution can be exciting yet uncertain, it's a journey of growth. So keep learning, keep evolving, and allow yourself to just be. Thanks so much. Yay! Awesome.
We did it.
Woo!